Is there life after death? We believe so. Join us as we talk about the signs we received in the days after the death of our children, the impact it had upon us, and the path that it led us on. So in 1999, our family was involved in a car accident with a drunk driver. He ran through a red light at over 80 miles an hour on a Sunday afternoon and broadsided our minivan. Beth and I survived, but our 9-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son were killed in the accident. We ended up receiving some amazing signs in the first few days after the accident. These signs came from our children, and it began to help us to understand that there is life after death. There is more that's there. The kids weren't just dead and buried and stuck in the ground.
And it gave us hope.
Definitely, it gave us hope. And so we're going to share with you those first 3 signs that we got. And so the accident happened on a Sunday, and on Wednesday we went to meet with the funeral director, and we walked into the funeral parlor, and it kind of fit our mood. It was, the lights were dim, there was nobody there. We're asking, hello, hello, anybody here? Finally, somebody comes walking up to us, and we explain to him, we're the Olsons, and Jim is working on our children. And she says, okay, let me go get him. And so we're just kind of standing there, just waiting and lost, as we had been for several days. And all of a sudden, Jim comes walking towards us, and he's got this great big smile on his face, and I'm thinking, you're an idiot. And he says, that Josh, he keeps turning the lights on and off and changing my radio station. I can't get any work done. And we looked at him and said, what?
I think my mouth was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I think you're crazy.
And he said, well, Josh, he's turning the lights on and off and changing my radio station. Tell him to knock it off. This was our first introduction to life after death. Our funeral director was having these experiences with our children, and they were affecting him and how he was able to do his work. But he had been associated with experiences like that in the past, and for him it wasn't that big of a deal. But for us, it began that process for us to have hope and a journey. And so have been, and still are, forever grateful for that introduction from him.
He introduced us to Joshua's spirit. And
right.
We just laughed, and we thought, yeah, that's exactly what Josh would have been doing.
Yep. And so the next day, that was on a Wednesday, and on a Thursday.
On Thursday, we reached out to my girlfriend in West Bend, where we lived. Her name is Kathy, and she's a medium. So I reached out to her, and I'm like, will you please see us? The funeral is right in the afternoon. And she said, of course, come over in the morning. So we sat with her for a good hour talking, and it was wonderful. It was almost like therapy. But as soon as we got up to leave, she's like, wait, the kids are here. So we quickly sat back down, and she kept looking and listening to something in the upper left of the room, the corner of the room. And she looked up, and she looked at us, and she's like, did Jessica like fried chicken? And I was like, I've never made fried chicken, never.
No, yeah. But she also told us that, she said, wait, the kids are here. And she says, no, wait, Josh is not here. Josh is at Great America. Well, Great America is a theme park in the central part of Illinois, or upper part of Illinois. And she said, he's at Great America because there's no lines in the spirit world. And so we started laughing because that, again, would be exactly who Josh would, what he would do.
Josh would be.
Yep.
Yeah. So as she's asking us, does Jessica like fried chicken? And we're wrapping our brains around this. We even thought about the chicken and the biscuit crackers. Yeah. And I'm like, I've never bought chicken and biscuit crackers. So then it dawned on me. Now we have to go back to that weekend that the kids died. I was at an American Girl sale to buy items for Jessica and my nieces for Christmas and birthdays. And this American Girls is heritage dolls. They have books, they have stories. They're some are written in the 1830s, and some are in the 1950s. And this was a thing that Jessica adored. She had 2 dolls, Josefina and Kirsten. And so my girlfriends and I, we were up at this American Girl sale purchasing a lot of items because they were dirt cheap. I mean, these dolls were expensive. So I was there with them having a great time. And as I got home on Sunday before the accident, Joshua was helping me bring all the items in to the bedroom. And Jessica, she was hiding her eyes, covering her eyes so she wouldn't see all of her gifts. Well, as I was putting items in piles, I was putting some for my nieces and some for Jessica. I got to this little chicken in a basket. And I had bought it for my niece Amanda. And I said to Joshua, I put it in my hand and I'm like, what do you think of this chicken in a basket for Jessica? I said, I bought it for your cousin, but I think Jessica might like it for her favorite doll. And so Joshua said, yes, Mom, I think she'd like the chicken in the basket. So it went in Jessica's pile. And an hour later, we're jumping in the car to go to the mall to purchase a fence for the backyard. We just bought them a puppy. And then the accident happened and they died. So now let's go back to sitting with Kathy. This now dawned on me about what just took place last weekend. A lot had happened. I was in a lot of shock. And so I explained to Rick and Kathy about the chicken in the basket and my conversation with Josh.
Right.
And I'm like, Jessica wants the chicken in the basket. Holy cow, this is huge. You know, this means she is alive. They are alive. You know, and Josh wasn't even there. You know,
Right.
you want to tell that how he just didn't need to be there.
Right. Josh didn't need to be there because Jessica found out about the chicken in the basket after they passed, because, you know, Joshua didn't have a chance to tell Jessica about the chicken in the basket before the accident. And so the only way she would have known about it was after she had passed. She got that information from Josh. And so to give us that gift about the chicken in the basket, Josh didn't have to be there. He was just out having fun.
Having fun. No lines in the spirit world at
Right.
Great America. So, you know, this again gave us ultimate proof that our kids were
Yeah.
alive. And I mean, we're in tears, but yet we're happy, we're laughing. And, you know, so we get up to leave, and Kathy says they have one more present for you in the car.
Yeah, so we hurried out to the car and we jumped in the car and we're sitting there just kind of looking around and waiting, and nothing's happening. So, you know, we're starting to get disappointed. So I started the car up and there was a song that came on the radio. And at the time the kids passed, their favorite movie was a Disney animated movie called Tarzan. And there was a song from that movie that came on the radio. And the name of the song was Two Worlds, One Family. And so we just started crying again and happy, and, you know, we turned the music up and we're just enjoying that message and connection from our kids.
And that they weren't truly gone.
Right.
They were just out of their physical body. So we went to Hardee's, of all places, and had a roast beef sandwich before the funeral. And we were sitting there having lunch, and we thought maybe we should just keep this little beautiful gift from our children to ourselves, because, you know, there's going to be people who would doubt it, and
Right.
they would kind of poo-poo it, and we didn't want anybody to squash our now hope that our children are with us, and that it was two worlds, one family, and that we had actually now still, we just had to find a way to communicate with them. But
Right.
we left Hardee's and went to the funeral, and we walked in. There's our two babies. They're in one coffin. We put them in one coffin, and it was pretty devastating, and our family was devastated as well. So Rick and I decided to share our new little gift of hope with them, and, you know, they smiled. They scratched their heads. It's not like it takes the pain away. I mean, it takes it away a little bit, because they weren't just going to be buried in the ground. Their energy, so they're still living on. So that's what was amazing about it. But we then stood in line, and we had hundreds of people come through and just give us their condolences and hugs and love, and it really was quite lovely. But at one point we stopped because we could see our family sharing our story. Our little secret we were going to keep between the two of us was
Right.
now being shared to hundreds of people.
Right.
You know, and I was upset at first, and then it dawned on me, that this little gift, this actually big gift,
Right.
and I hit you. And I'm like, this is not just for us, this is for the world. I said, someday, literally in the line, meeting people, greeting people, I tell Rick, we're going to write a book someday about this proof that there's life after death. It took 15 years later, but
Right.
we still got it done. And our book does give hope. And that chicken in the basket is something that is so still near and dear to our heart.
Right. And just, we understand that we were fortunate enough to have gotten those signs immediately from our kids, and we appreciate that. But we've tried to use that as we've gone forward in the work that we do in helping people and helping them to understand that there is life after death. It's just that they're in a different place, and you need a new language, and you need to learn how to communicate with them. But it gave us hope and understanding. And this is why we're starting these channels, and we'll be continuing them. So we hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to more.
Thanks for joining us.